Welcome back to AgriTalk here at the Missouri Farm Bureau annual meeting at the Lake of the Ozarks. Chris Chinn joins us now, Missouri pork producer, very active with the Farm Bureau, of course, and we often talk to her about the battles with HSUS, the whole ballot initiative process. And Chris, thank you for joining us. You have something now that I know you want people to be aware of, and it's called Your Vote Counts. Tell us about it.
Your Vote Counts is started at a ballot initiative that is being started by the HSUS, and in a lot of farmers' eyes and a lot of rural community people believe that this is more of a big money talks issue. What the Your Votes Count Act would do is it would require a 3/4 majority to reverse a ballot initiative. And that takes away the checks and balance system that we have in our government system today. And we don't think it's right for a big company or a large organization that has a lot of money to come in and buy the politics in the state of Missouri.
This kind of became HSUS's response because they didn't like the agreement that was reached on the so-called puppy mill situation here in the state. And when that compromise was worked out, HSUS didn't like it, so they wanted to come in and change the rules again.
Right. When the agreement was made, it was made by people who lived in Missouri and worked in Missouri, and HSUS was not invited to the table. So we're seeing this as their way to get back at Missouri because they weren't allowed to dictate the laws and regulations that we have of our state.
So how does this play out now?
Well, they are going to be collecting their signatures on the Your Vote Counts, and hopefully they're trying to get it on the ballot, and we want to just inform voters about what the truth is. HSUS is notorious for using emotion to sell an issue and to cause drama, and so we want to make sure that people understand what Your Vote Counts is, and that it does not take away the right of the people, and it doesn't take away our voice, as HSUS is claiming.
Yeah, kind of ironic is they're claiming that because of the agreement, voters in Missouri, their vote didn't count, when actually they're coming in and try to create something that basically tell Missouri voters how they should be running their state from someone that's outside of the state. Right.
It's going to turn Missouri into a state like California that's bankrupt because the ballot initiative process there doesn't work. They have so many ballot initiatives that their state legislature is forced to fund, and they're bankrupt. And we don't want that for the state of Missouri. We have a balanced budget, and it's something we want to keep in the hands of Missourians, not people who are sitting behind a desk in a big city in a different state.
Meanwhile, I've seen some who were critical at first of the agreement that was reached on the pet situation, now saying, hey, it looks like this really was something that was good for all interests involved.
Right. The facts were not out there in the beginning with HSUS. They only told a little bit of the story, and now that the whole story is out, people understand what the situation was before, and they see the solution to the problem, and they realize that had Proposition B stayed as it was, it could have been very devastating to our pet breeders here in the state of Missouri.
Missouri Farmers Care has been very active in carrying that message around the state.
They have. They've been trying to tell the story of agriculture, put a face on farming, and make sure people understand that the laws and the regulations that happen in our state need to start here in our state.
That seems like a simple message, but as we have seen, people not familiar with all the issues, they hear one particular story and it can mislead them.
Right. HSUS is really good, as well as PETA, at painting the bad actors as the norm of an industry. And that's not true. Every industry does have bad actors, and we don't defend their actions. But we want people to know that 99% of farmers and ranchers are not like the bad actors. And we want to put the real face of agriculture out there for not only Missouri to see, but all of the United States.
Which is an ongoing effort. We're seeing it played out in Missouri as well as several other states.
Right. Farmers are standing up, and we are realizing that we got to throw the fence gates open and let people see inside our farms, because most people are at least 3 generations removed from the farm, and they don't understand how the farms have changed and why.
I was thinking of you the other day. I was reading an article about a pork producer in the Netherlands dealing with a lot of the same issues that the livestock industry deals with here in the United States, and how this producer was doing videos and inviting people on to his hog operation to show them what happens and how he does, how he takes care of the animals. And I thought that, that's what you and many others in this country have been doing.
That's right. It's a lot easier for us to go on the internet to show videos of our farms than to conduct farm tours all day long. And so the internet has been a valuable tool for us. And a lot of farmers and ranchers are starting to use social media to tell the story of agriculture and show the daily practices that we use on our farm and to explain them.
I've been speaking on this topic here lately. I find it ironic at a time when we're trying to figure out how we're going to feed 7 to 9 billion people around the world. You would think society would almost be saying to farmers and ranchers, please produce more. We need what you have to produce to keep us fed, but yet instead we have these groups and people out there with agendas that would actually want to take away our ability to feed all the people.
You know, that's the one thing we all have in common every day is we all eat. And whoever is in control of that food has the power. And so we want to make sure as a farmer and rancher that we have enough food so that everybody has a full stomach. And we don't want one small group of people controlling the food for our country.
Let me ask you this as a pork producer, because back in the news again, attacks on antibiotic use within the livestock industry. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, when our animals are ill, we want to make sure that we can give them the medication they need to make them healthy. We observe all withdrawal dates because my family eats that same food too, and I wouldn't feed my children anything that wasn't healthy. And that's not the story that HSUS and PETA and the detractors from agriculture are sharing. But it's really important for farmers to make sure people understand a healthy animal produces healthy food.
And how harmful would it be to you if they've restricted or eliminated your use of a lot of those antibiotics?
It would make it very difficult for all farmers and ranchers. Our animals would also suffer, and that's our top priority, is that our animals are content and comfortable. And at certain times in their lives when they've been injured or they're ill, we need the antibiotics to make sure that they can continue to be comfortable and produce healthy food.
Again, this is not condoning an overuse or an abuse of those antibiotics.
Absolutely not. We observe withdrawal dates. We want to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. It's important to us. As I said before, we eat that same food, and we want to make sure we have healthy food for our families as well.
These opponents of agriculture, they find vulnerabilities. And for agriculture to say we're concerned about Department of Labor regulations for young people, it comes off to some as sounding like, well, you're not concerned about child safety on a farm. Or if you say we need those antibiotics, it comes off sounding sometimes to some people like, you know, you're not worried about abuse or health issues. So these, whether it's HSUS, PETA, whoever it may be, they take that vulnerability or the misconception that they like to create in people's minds. That's what you're talking about, has to be cleared up.
That's right. We want people to understand that we want to make sure our children are safe on our farms. But the only way that we're going to pass on the agriculture industry to the next generation is that we teach them at a young age how to care for the environment, how to care for the land, because every day is different on the farm. And it's not something that you can learn in a 2-year period and take it on for the rest of your life.
Just want to say to these groups, if today's farmers can't pass it on to the next generation, then who's going to produce our food for it?
That's right. You know, I want to make sure that my children have every opportunity to return to the family farm. I want to make sure that their food source comes from the United States because we have great oversight in this country. We have a healthy food supply.
We don't want to be dependent on other countries for our food. Chris, thanks a lot. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Chris Chinn joining us here at the Missouri Farm Bureau annual meeting as we wrap things up tomorrow. By the way, we will be talking with a new group who is pushing to make sure that if you want to give to animal welfare, that you give to local animal shelters. Don't be sending your money off to HSUS. Give locally. Thanks to the folks here at Missouri Farm Bureau as we enjoy covering their annual meeting once again at the Lake of the Ozarks. Thanks for being with us on AgriTalk, the voice of rural America.